Hello and welcome to the Spooky Chris podcast. My name is Chris Ringler and I will be your host. To track down all of my books and podcasts and everything else, you can find them at spookychris.com. Today I have the honor of speaking with Jessie and Spence, a sound and dialogue ADR supervisor. And she has worked on such movies as Prey, the Rebel Moon films, Pet Sematary Bloodlines, Whitebird, and a host of other films. She's won an Emmy. And in past career choices, she's acted. She has been a singer with bands and done music, and as an artist. And I'm going to talk to her about her career as a ADR supervisor, working on dialogue and films. And I think it's going to be a really fun conversation. So I invite you to listen along. Well, hello, Jessie and Spence. Thank you for joining me.
It's weird being called Jessie and Spence by you.
I it's weirder to call you that.
Is that something we need to talk about or address or no?
I am trying to be professional and treat you
Oh,
professionally. So that's your professional,
okay.
that's your working name.
It is. It is. It's my AKA, as they say. Most people think it's the other way around, but it is not.
See, people call me Dipsy the Clown, and that's not my real name. It's just my partying name.
Oh, your partying name.
Clown
I
partying.
don't know. I don't know if I want to hear about that life of yours.
Just clown parties.
Okay. Okay, yes. For like
So
kids and stuff, right? Yeah.
I mean, people dressed like in diaper kids, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It
Let's
doesn't
move
matter.
it on. Moving on.
So hello, thank you for joining me.
Oh God. Thanks for having me, man. This is cool. I feel like I haven't talked to you in ages.
Well, and for real, you haven't. So it is
Yeah.
beyond just the fun kind of speaking with you about your profession. It's fun to talk to you in general. So thank you.
Ah, we met when? How long ago?
20-ish years ago,
Jesus.
something like that.
And
20
well,
something.
I was just telling my husband the other day that you are one of the only people that keeps up with me in like such a way where I feel loved. So I
Aw.
would like to put out a public appreciation for Chris and being a very good friend.
Oh, well, thank you. You're the bee's knees. So,
I appreciate it.
well, you are appreciated. So
Ah, okay. Thank you.
you're welcome. So, all right, we're gonna
All right.
crack in.
Business. Yeah.
Do you remember the first movie you ever fell in love with?
Oh, geez. I knew you were gonna bust out the tough questions here. Um, I
I
need
mean,
to
I,
think
I, I,
about
I
this.
guess, all right, I guess we can go this way then. Do you consider yourself first, like kind of more someone involved in the movies or the sound? So maybe it's more, what's the first record you fell in love with?
Okay, I don't know. I feel like both are valid because music for me as a kid was super formative, and it's kind of how growing up in the Midwest where everything was pretty kind of vanilla, I guess is what you could say. Not feeling like I fit in anywhere. Music was kind of the only way to go past what I felt like everyone else was doing and be myself. So I guess I have a very vivid memory when I was a kid of my mom driving me in her Volvo station wagon to Rock-a-Rolla Records
Oh,
and getting
it
Broken,
had,
the Broken EP when it first came out,
is that up
day
in,
one.
was that in Saginaw? Because they had one in Flint and I didn't know if it was a chain.
Shut up. They did?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was I mean, I thought it was a little mom and pop shop because
Well, I
there was
mean, it was a
like
chain. It
the
must have
local
been
stoner was working there and like he could give
same.
you the yeah, totally.
Yeah, it was over by our mall. It was a little tiny place. Yeah.
Yeah, teeny tiny. Like you could like as big as my office right now. And of course that means nothing to you. But yeah, it was tiny, everything was dusty. There was like old album covers taped to the wall and yeah, so that was I think when I was a itty bitty I really loved Nine Inch Nails a long time ago and then I got into, punk, what I recognized punk to be in a small town, which, is kind of popular now, like Misfits and Dead Kennedys and Minor Threat and all that kind of stuff, like East Coast punky stuff. So music was definitely formative. It helped me it helped hold my hand through the tough times of being a bit of an outcast. And then movies, I mean, everyone's got formative movies, right? I remember the first movie I saw in a theater was E.T. God, when was that? I must have been like
80,
four.
yes, 82, 83.
82? I think it was
Uh,
82.
yeah, I think 82 because it's the year the thing came out and it effed the thing. So,
Yeah, I definitely didn't go see The Thing in theaters at 4 years old. Although I wish I did. That would be a pretty good brag.
I mean, I saw Friday the 13th at the drive-in when I was 6. So,
What? Shut up.
yeah, I
I
don't.
hope you snuck out, right? You like snuck out to see it?
No, no, our babysitter, and I seems like I
Yeah.
can't remember if it was my cousin, but like took us, and it was I think Friday the 13th, and the second movie was I think Pieces, which I don't know if you've ever seen Pieces.
No.
Oh my gosh, it's a chainsaw movie where the guy
Oh,
it's a serial like a slasher movie, and a guy gets his junk ripped off at the very end of the movie. So it's
holy crap.
yeah, so
That sounds intense.
it's
I was just
something.
talking about the movie Bone Tomahawk with someone the other day
Oh,
and
yeah.
about how that kill scene, and everyone knows what I'm talking about if they've seen it. That
Oh
kill scene
yeah,
is like the most intense kill I think I've ever seen. And I think a lot of it in that had to do with the sound because I don't think there
yeah.
was score at that moment. So all you hear are the organs kind of like thumping on the ground, and it's so fucking heinous. Can I swear? I can swear, right?
You can do whatever you want.
Woo woo! I just took my shirt off. Don't tell the kids.
Cracking a beer. Woo!
Yow! Um, so yeah, that was pretty heinous. And then someone told me, I was telling this to someone the other day, and they said, "Oh no, the worst, most gory kill scene is in Terrifier
I almost
2."
Oh, I see. I was gonna say the first one because there's
Was it the first one?
a woman gets cut in half in that,
That's what I'm
but
thinking of. Maybe
but
not
that's
two.
like Bone Tomahawk. It's been a minute since I've seen that for like longer since, but it's that seems like I almost want to say he's just shy of still alive. And the woman, she ain't around anymore. She's just getting
Yeah, well, that totally makes it less scary.
yeah
Like this guy's alive.
yeah yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Anyway, so yeah, movies are a big deal, and sound is a big deal, but it's the whole package for me. It's not just like, ooh, that sounded great. I mean, that is a obviously something I look out for, but just the whole situation. I think like the first movie I saw that scared me because horror is my favorite genre, although I feel like I need to watch more of it. Um,
We'll have to
the
talk
f-
then.
yes, the first movie I saw that scared my pants off was trying to think now. What was it? Uh, 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 Hellraiser 2 or 3? What was the one with Chatterbox?
Well, he's in the first couple at least.
Is
Which
he?
do you remember? So the first one is just it's her Uncle Frank, and the second one's in the hospital.
No, I think it's oh God, I don't know. For some reason I have in my head that it was 2, but the guy with the razor blades on the mattress fucked me up as a kid
Oh,
too. But
that's the second one. Yeah, yeah, like
oh,
yeah,
that is the second one. Okay.
yep, yep,
Right, the hospital.
yep.
Okay.
Chenard finds the mattress, and that's how he brings Julia back.
Right. Oh man, I think I saw that way too young for that. I mean, that was kind of I feel like that was kind of my first horror movie I saw, and it was pretty brutal.
That's how you started this, just went all in.
Yeah, well, I think it was you were saying a babysitter took you to see Friday the 13th. I think it was a babysitter that had this VHS. And I was just like, Mom. And then she got fired. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened.
my sister and babysitter, and it was my cousin. They tormented me a lot. They like I remember once, like they had a thing where they said somebody was outside the windows and they're going around banging on the windows at night. And then there was
It's
once
terrible.
where we had a fire going and it was dark, and they said a big spider was on the ceiling and it was going to get me. And so, so,
Bunch of jerks.
yeah, well,
That was your sister and your who?
one of my cousins.
Oh, family. Gotta love them.
So when did you start noticing sound and music in movies?
Um, I think music for me in movies was always just sort of a like it's gonna sound like blasphemy, but more like an undercurrent of mood establishment. And I never really paid much attention to score. I mean, obviously there's scores that you're just like you can't ignore and they stick with you and for the rest of your life, but I think my transition into sound from music or movie sound from music was it was more about working with people, if
Okay.
that makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird way to go about it, but since I work on dialogue and ADR, and if people don't know what that means, basically I take what is recorded on set that the actors say, and I clean it up and I rearrange it and make it a bit more discernible. Or if it's not discernible, like let's say there's a generator going, or like a wind machine, or someone drops something on set right when the actor's saying their line, we will take that actor. Well, we don't physically take them, but they come into the ADR. They come into a soundstage basically, and we re-record the lines, try to get them in sync with their face on screen, and then we pop it in and try to match it with the stuff they recorded on set, which is extremely difficult to do without people hearing it and it being obvious. When I used to work on music, I always used to kind of do my own projects at home. So I had this little home studio situation, and my roommate he was a producer, and he was producing this person's little cooking short they were doing. And there was some interference with the microphone or something, and there was this whine right in the middle frequency through the whole video. So he had to re-record the whole thing. So I tell him this on the phone when I'm at home at my little studio, and he's like, "Okay, I just called the actor. They're going to be there in a half an hour to re-record the whole thing with you." It's like I was like, you know what? I owe you rent, and so let's just wipe that under the rug, and I'll roll with it. So this girl came in. We did the whole thing. I had never done anything like this before, and I'm sure if I heard it now, I would cry at how terrible it was done. But at the time, I was like, this is amazing. It's almost like you get to direct the actor and also keep in mind the microphone, like the technology, how it's being recorded, um, and also just keep people chill. Like everyone gets really flustered sometimes, or because if you take away the set and the other actors and the costumes and all that stuff, and you throw these people in their sweatpants in this really dead sounding room, it's stressful. So you're also kind of like I call myself an actor, psychiatrist or psychologist, because you have to help them through this, but also make them feel like they're doing a great job. And sometimes, most of the time, they are, and sometimes they're not. And then you have to come up with different ways to get the right performance out of them without ruffling feathers. Or sometimes the director there, sometimes he's not. I don't know. So it's all about, to me, working with other people. And there is a lot of time spent kind of working from home, sequestered in a little dark room, editing in Pro Tools. But then you spend a lot of time with mixers and directors and actors, and I think it's really collaborative, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So that's why I got into it, not because I'm like a movie sound nerd, but or like a music nerd. I don't know. It's just it came about in kind of a weird Hollywood story sort of way.
Well, that's cool though. 'Cause, yeah, I was going to ask, like, so in the past you'd been in films as an actor,
Oh,
um,
that's true.
and
Right.
and then you also made music, and I just wondered how you kind of married the two. Like you've had both these kind of worlds, and you've found a way to marry them.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it takes a certain personality to be able to make all this stuff work. And I've always been kind of a um, outgoing type person. So I think that being a people person, it helps with like stage presence. Like when I used to do music, I was in a couple bands that would perform a lot, and stage presence was a big deal. And then with with music, you put a lot of personality into your vocal performance. If I mean, at least I tried to. And then with the sound stuff, it's like you also want to be somebody that they bring back. So if you're cool and people like your personality, then you're more likely to get rehired. And I just like being around people. I don't know. I love people.
What's that like?
Well, I always tell people that I'll change that um I love a person, but I hate people as a whole. Does that make sense? Like I hate
I
this group of people, but I love this person. Oh, they're
that's
in that group of people. Oh, damn it. Now what do I do? I don't
that's
know.
fair.
Fuck.
That's fair. It's
I gotta rethink this.
I think that's what we find ourselves with in our
Yeah, it's
little
like, I
species.
mean, you gotta love those Trumper relatives, right? But you hate what they're a part of.
Oh boy. I don't know.
Yikes.
I don't know if I have to do either. Like I don't know. I
Yeah,
can love them. I can love them from afar.
that's what I do with my dad. I haven't talked to him in like 10, 15 years, but he's a definite Trump supporter.
Which is funny because I mean, my dad was born just after World War II. So, I mean, literal like the boom. And he was dyed in the wool Republican, and even he didn't like the man.
Because
So,
he's smart. Oh man, you're gonna get so much Trump hate mail or
I
Democrat hate mail, I guess.
whatever.
Yeah,
Like
good. Send it.
I,
I'll burn it.
I'm sure I'll get zeros of none. I get I'll get as much email about it as I get sales of books, which would be none.
Oh man,
So,
we're gonna boost you. Let's boost you up.
I appreciate
Yeah.
it. Okay, so
Okay.
can you tell me a little bit about what you do when you work on a film?
Yes. I'll go through the process. If it gets boring, just tell me to
No,
hurry it
no.
along.
Honestly, I think it's fascinating because this is a side of movies that we don't, you know, everybody oh, directors we kind of know what they do, and producers got an idea, and actors obviously, but like this is one of those things that's obviously key in what makes a movie so powerful and makes it work. I mean, if you watch a movie and it's like, why am I hearing their dialogue like 2 seconds after they spoke? Like what's going on?
Oh
So I
yeah,
mean,
that's
it's interesting to know that, this part of it.
yeah. Well, I mean, I am typically there's production and there's post-production. Let me start from the beginning. So production is when everyone's on set, actors are there, director, the guy holding the boom mic, everything gets filmed. And then there's post-production, which is where I come in, and I am usually the last person they hire on the project. So I'm already brought in when everything's already been recorded, or I'm brought in when everything's already been recorded, and they just kind of shove a bunch of files in my lap and say, okay, here's the movie, make it sound better. You have, however many months. So then obviously you schedule it down so you know how much you're supposed to be dealing with a day. You go through and you mark all of the um, dialogue that needs to be redone. There's also a thing where, like, they do multiple takes of a scene. So I'll be like, scene 53, take one, and they'll do like five takes. So you have all of these takes, and each take has a bunch of different mics affiliated with it. So you'll have the boom mic, you'll have a lavalier, like a lapel mic for all the actors. And then sometimes they'll have like if the actor's shirtless or something and they don't know where to put the mic, they'll like stick it in a lamp or wherever. So you have to go through and you have to pick the best mics. And sometimes most of the times you cut multiple mics. And then if there's something wrong, then you have to mark it and tell the producers to bring in the actor for ADR, and they'll fight you tooth and nail. Because the most depressing part about my job is that everyone hates ADR when they bring in the actor. Nobody likes it. The money people don't like it. The director hates it. Actors just despise it for the most part. There's a few that are really fun that just make it a party. Because they almost see it like a game because you're supposed to be matching. Yeah, because when you come in, you're looking at a screen of you in your performance and you're trying to repeat the line and make it fit in your mouth so nobody can detect that you're doing it afterwards. So it's really hard and people get frustrated. So yeah, then I tell everybody the bad news. And over the course of the next couple weeks, we bring people in to studios, or in more and more cases, people are international, so you have to connect with a specific software so that there's no lag, and you can do ADR with the actor, like in Lisbon, or where were we the other day? Well, there's a lot more places around the US. It's kind of hard once you get outside of the US and London to find like reliable spots. So, then there's always the technology gap that you have to leap, and there's language too. And I don't know. It's just always an adventure, and I think that's what I like about it. One of the things I like about it.
I was gonna say, yeah, one of my questions is what you love most about it. Now you said you kind of said like the people. Um, how how is it kind of? Do you have to get in the right mindset from film to film? Because I mean, that's kind of got to be almost like going from relationship to relationship. Like you kind of like get to know it and get to know this intimately, and then all of a sudden you're done with it, and then you kind of have to change gears to go into this other one.
Yeah, that's true. It was I just did Rebel Moon with Zack Snyder, and we did a ton of ADR on that movie. Mainly because he really likes to have fans on set. So a lot of fans are 3 feet away from the actor and they're, performing. So all you hear is behind their lines. So we had to bring them in. But if you think about it, a lot of Zack Snyder movies have slow-mo shots, and a lot of the fan creates like this more dynamic look with hair and clothing, and so it totally makes sense that he uses that technique a lot. But that means we had to shoot a lot of ADR, and shooting ADR with Zack Snyder is a party. He is hilarious and fun, and he requested I bring my dog in, so my dog would be there running around, and he would like roll around on the floor with her. It was just was super fun. He'd always bring presents for everybody and cracking jokes the whole time. And
That's
meanwhile, on this movie now, and it's different. It's not better. It's not worse. But the director Brian Bertino he's very serious and very focused. And I also think that's amazing because then you're like, this guy is doing what he loves and he's really good at it. So we're gonna nail all this, but you're not making dick jokes. You have to kind of know where to draw the line with dick jokes. So I mean, I've tried a couple, but they fell on silence, so I learned my lesson. But I don't even know what I don't remember what your question was, but we ended with dick jokes. How did that happen?
I mean, do most good conversations end with those. So,
I hope
how is
so.
it? How is it? And obviously, I'm not asking for names or projects, but like, how hard is it working on a project that you're just don't have any God, as a piece of work? Like you're just like, oh, I'm not into this at all. This is literally a
Oh,
job.
yeah, those are tough because you still want, I mean, you're still hired to do a good job, so you can't just bail on kicking ass, you know what I mean? But it's hard when you're not into it, but you just put on your big boy pants and you make it as good as you can, you know what I mean? And then you say, there's going to be another one after this. Honestly, it's hard to for me, it's hard not to get into a project, especially when you are so closely working with other people on it that are almost, I don't want to say more invested. Yeah, I guess more emotionally invested. Like I'll be with producers and directors and actors, and just it helps if you don't really like the content or the movie or the TV show to see the um, enthusiasm of the other people around you helps get you into it. And another thing is that every single project, nothing's perfect. There's always some sort of fucked up problem on every project, and then it's the kind of like the problem solver in you gets to work, and it's like a challenge, and that's fun. It's fun to be challenged. I feel like every project, I'm like, ooh, I learned how to do this, and now I can deal with that, and I
I I
have all the
rem
answers to this project or
I
problem.
remember distinctly, and again, I'm not going to name names, but like a project you were working on, you're like, I just got this in my hands. We have to rush to get this done because there's already a date for it to be released. And I remember that how kind of like stressed you were,
Hmm.
despite how great things turned out. But like, so that's yeah, I can understand kind of
Wait,
having to
now I'm
rise.
wondering what project that was.
I know what it is, and
No, don't. Yeah, don't
no, yeah, no,
tell me later.
yeah, I'll tell you later. Like I know, yeah, I remember. So, but yeah,
That's that's kind of like how working on, so I mostly work on films now, which is so much nicer to me than working in TV, because TV is very much like you have 5 days to do this episode, and you have to shoot all this ADR. Everything has to be great. And for some reason, there's a lot more, uh, well, not for some reason, probably because of the deadlines. There's a lot more stress, a lot more pressure, and people take that out on other people. And so there's a lot more, um, not butting heads per se, but you just feel TV a lot more than you feel features. And you find yourself getting to a point where you have to just make it good enough because there literally is not enough time to make it great. So that's one thing I love about working on features is there's a budget and there's time to make it great. And if there is something that sticks out to you, you can raise your voice and say, "Hey, I think we should take time and work on this thing because of these reasons," and people listen to you. Whereas in TV, it's like, it's just sound, just keep moving, just keep moving. Shut up, keep moving.
I actually just thought of something. So did you do I assume ADR on Prey?
Yes,
How hard was that working with a Native American language? Like I mean,
dude,
just because I just thought about that. I'm like, oh gosh, that had to be actually kind of risky or like,
it was so fucking badass. Let me just say that. I've always loved Native American culture. Um, so getting to work on this movie was just like, it was Predator, it was Native American, like I was in heaven. And so what they didn't know is if they wanted to, there's like a whole, I have a whole story about this. So do you have like another hour? Because I can talk that long about it.
This just means that
It's
what we have to do this again sometime so we can get all of this.
yay. Um, so yeah, it was great because we did a lot of Comanche language in the episode, and because the director, um, Dan Trachtenberg, was very much like, this has to be authentic. We can't screw anything up. Like, it's got to be true. It's got to, like, everything has to be correct, to the point where there's a lot of like Comanche lore kind of Easter eggs in the movie that people just wouldn't know. And also, when we were trying to come up with dialogue rules, because, it's like, when do they speak Comanche? When do they speak English? I think initially he was talking about doing the whole movie in Comanche with no subtitles. And yeah, and everyone was like, the producers were like, no, I don't think so. But all the artists and like, yeah, people that were into the culture were like, yeah, that's such a great idea. Um, but I'm glad he didn't do that, because I feel that would have alienated a lot of people from watching the movie. But there is
Yeah.
a version of it that is completely in Comanche out there. I just didn't have anything to do with it because it came after.
Yeah, I remember
So
when it was
yeah,
released. Yeah. That's
yeah.
that's awesome. I'm trying to be mindful of time because I still had like three, well, yeah, two questions. So, so I wanted to ask you how it was being in the industry while the strikes were going on. Because again, like you weren't kind of in the direct line of fire, but you weren't able to work, or were you?
I was. The thing is that's when I was doing the four-part Rebel Moon
Okay.
movies. And that took 18 months. And it started November, the November before the strikes. God, what year is that? I don't even know what year it is. So,
2022 must have been 2022 into 2023.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the strikes happened, what was that, like spring into summer of
Yeah.
2023. So we started in November, knowing that it was going to go for over a year. And the reason I wasn't first pick on that job. I got it because a few people said no, and one of the main reasons people said was because it was too long of a project. And I feel bad laughing at that because whenever I went through COVID and worked a month. So whenever there's a long project, I'm all in. I'm like, sign me up, sit me in that chair. I will cut dialogue for you forever. And so yeah, we cruised through it. Like, we weren't on strike, and our union wasn't officially like picketing with the other unions. So we could work, and we were already on a project, so the project wasn't going to halt. So yeah, we got to work through the strike. I mean, we're still feeling it. There's people are saying survive till 25.
Wow.
Yeah, because then, sorry, I'm so flitty right now, but I'm trying to remember the sequence of events. It was like the writers went on strike, then the actors went on strike, and then our contract was up for negotiation after that. And everyone was so freaked out that we were going to strike as well. And our union is like twice the size of those two combined. Like, it's huge.
Oh wow.
And so all the producers in Hollywood were like, we're not starting anything because if these guys go on strike, we're just going to have to stop, lose a ton of money, and then go back after the strike is negotiated and everything's settled. So everything's been on hold. And now, because once you get into the fall, people don't want to start something because everyone leaves for the holidays. Typically, you get 2 weeks off, and then, things don't start till the new year, really. So, yeah, all summer into, well, till now, it's survived till 2025. And some of my friends have had to move out of town. because they have no work.
Wow.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. I remember hearing a lot about that, like that a lot of people were gonna kind of lose it all if things didn't resolve. So I think
Yeah, so many places like went out of business, and yeah, it's a lot of people had to just cinch up their belts and try to make it through. But the one thing I didn't get to say about Prey that I meant to tell you about the language is that we had the guy who wrote the Comanche dictionary on call with us every
oh,
ADR
cool.
session. Every time we recorded any Comanche, he was there. It was awesome. So yeah, I just a little footnote.
That's that's super cool.
Yeah, Guy Narcomi. He's a great dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, I know one of the questions I wanted to ask you, you and your teams, you've started to get kind of recognition and awards. Can you tell me a little about that?
For Prey,
Any of the work you've done? Because I mean, you've done a bunch of stuff.
I've I've done a bunch of stuff, but I've only gotten awards for Prey.
Okay.
And the thing is that it is, I was really pumped about it and I posted a lot about it and I tell everybody about it because I'm yeah, another side note, I'm not the kind of person that is like, I did this and I did that, but I was so proud of that movie. Not just what we did as a sound team, but it was such a great kind of like button at the end of this franchise. And it was so unexpected and it was so inclusive and uh, uh, and plus another thing, my little dog, you know my old dog, Dita.
Yeah.
She was with me through the whole movie, working with me in my little office, and she would come into stage when we were mixing, and she basically my last day on the project, she passed away. So the whole thing was also just an emotional roller coaster for me. But it was my last my last days with my little soulmate. So that meant a lot to me as well. And everyone on the team was so supportive of that. And like when we were doing our Emmy thank yous, the mixer or the supervisor dedicated it to Dita.
Aw,
It was pretty sweet. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's just a damn dog," but once
not
you have
me.
one of those little soulmate dogs, you know. I know you know.
Yeah.
So that also gave it a lot of meaning, and it's just such a great movie. So when we won, I was like, you know what? If I ever have won an award in my lifetime, I'm glad it was for this movie because this movie deserves it.
That's awesome. Now, before
And
I,
now I'm working on the next one.
that's amazing.
Well, I'm not now, but
Well, but
I
yeah,
will
yeah,
be.
that's amazing. And I see we have a minute left. So, how can people find your work, or do you want them to find your your social
I don't really.
strangeness?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, messy underscore stench, just how it sounds. MESSY underscore STENCH, I think, right? Is it underscore or just messy stench? I don't even know.
I'm not sure off the hand.
Well, do just look for one of those. How about that?
They'll find you or strange porn. So either way.
Yes. Either way, they're gonna win.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Before I want to thank you before I lose you, but thank you so much for making some time. I really appreciate it.
All right, you're such a good friend, and I hope you sell more books, and I
Well,
love everything you do.
well, I think the world of you. And yeah, like if you want, we'll do this again sometime and
Yeah, we
talk
should.
about other projects.
Yeah.
Yay,
One
you're the
year.
best. You you take care and I'll talk to you soon.
I can't thank
Okay, bye,
Jessie
Chris.
Ann
Bye,
Spence
listeners. We
enough
love you.
Bye.
for
Moo.
finding the time to
Bye.
speak to me about her
Bye.
career in film. It was an awesome conversation, and I really think that it's fun to get to know this side of the film industry because it's something that we don't think about, but that without having ADR and dialogue and all of even to get further out sound effects and all stuff. Without that, movies aren't what we hope and expect. If you've seen kind of independent films, you'll see how folks will, and I dealt with this in my own films. Like you'll see folks that are like,
Okay, and then I'm going to go to the store.
and it sounds like crap. And folks like her make sure dialogue is clear and synced up and everything is perfect. And that was a great conversation. You can find more of her film work on IMDb. Just look up Jessie Ann Spence. And she has a very active social profile on Instagram under Jessie Ann Spence or Messy Stench, her alter ego. And I really thank her a ton for being on here. Again, you can find all my stuff at spookychris.com, all my other interviews I've done and everything else. I appreciate you listening. I will talk to you soon.